The chase the night was alive with sound. The forest did not sleep. Strange insects hummed in the black air. Leaves rattled like whispers. Somewhere far behind, branches cracked as heavy paws moved fast. She was running. Her feet slipped on wet roots, but she did not stop. Her lungs burned, her chest felt tight, but fear pushed her forward. She knew if she slowed even for a second, they would catch her. The beasts were close. She could hear them, low growls rolling like thunder, claws tearing the ground. Their eyes had glowed in the dark when she had first seen them. Yellow, wide, hungry, she had never seen such creatures before, and she prayed she would never see them again. But their sound followed her, and their smell clung to the wind. The woman's hair stuck to her face with sweat. The night air was thick and hot, pressing against her skin. She dodged through trees, scraped her arms on jagged bark, and leapt over fallen logs. The forest seemed endless, stretching forever. But she could not stop to wonder where it led. She only thought of one thing: stay alive until morning. Behind her, the growls grew louder. Branches broke. Something heavy landed on the ground, close enough to shake the earth beneath her feet. She gasped. She pushed harder, legs screaming, heart hammering so loud she thought it might burst. Her breath came in sharp gasps. She wanted to cry out, but she knew sound would only feed the hunt. She had learned that already. Hours ago, when she first screamed, they had howled back. The forest had filled with their calls. The hunt had begun then, and it had not stopped. She stumbled into a small clearing. The moonlight cut through clouds, washing the grass in silver. For a moment, she thought she had escaped. The trees opened wide, the air seemed lighter. She dropped to her knees, chest rising and falling, sucking in air. Her hands shook as she pressed them against the dirt. Then she heard it. A snarl. The sound froze her blood. Her head snapped up. At the edge of the clearing between twisted trees, glowing eyes appeared, 3, 4, 5 pairs. They blinked in the dark, moving low, slow, circling her. Their shapes were shadows, long bodies with too many legs, teeth glinting wet. Her heart pounded harder. She forced herself to stand. Her legs wobbled, weak, but fear made them strong again. She turned and ran across the clearing. The beasts followed. Their paws beat the ground. Their breath hissed like steam. They were faster than she was. Much faster. She knew she could not outrun them. Her mind screamed, think, hide, survive. She darted back into the trees, hoping to lose them in the tangle of roots and branches. Her shoulders slammed against a trunk, pain shooting down her arm, but she did not stop. She scraped her knee on a rock, blood trickling, but still she ran. The forest seemed alive, as if it wanted to trap her. Vines caught her arms. Thorns bit her skin. Each step was heavier than the last. Her body begged her to give up, to fall and rest, but she pushed it away. Rest was death. Suddenly one of the beasts lunged. She heard it before she saw it, the rush of air, the snap of jaws. She dropped to the ground, rolling hard into the dirt. Claws swiped above her, tearing bark from a tree instead of her back. She bit her lip to stop from screaming. She scrambled up and ran again. The world blurred, trees streaking past. Her vision swam from exhaustion, but the fear kept her sharp. Every sound mattered, the snap of a twig, the rush of breath, the hiss of claws against stone. Then, from somewhere ahead, a new sound rose. It was small, sharp, out of place. A bark. She froze in confusion. A bark in this world of monsters and endless dark? It came again, short and fierce, echoing through the trees. For a heartbeat, she thought she was imagining it. The beasts behind her slowed. Their growls faltered, turned into uneasy whines. She glanced back, chest heaving. Their glowing eyes still watched, but their pace had broken. They no longer chased. Another bark rang out, louder this time. The woman's fear twisted into something new. Confusion, hope. She turned her eyes forward, searching the dark. The sound came from just ahead, beyond a cluster of trees. Her legs carried her toward it before her mind could think. She ran harder, branches whipping her face, heart hammering. The beasts stayed back, growls rumbling but no longer closing in. She burst through the last line of trees and stumbled into another clearing. There, in the middle of the moonlit grass, stood the strangest sight she had ever seen: a tiny dog. Its body was small, round, soft. Its face wrinkled, eyes wide and shining. It wagged its short tail, planting its little feet firmly in the dirt. When it saw her, it barked again, loud and brave, as if it had no fear at all. The woman's mouth fell open. For a moment, she forgot the beasts, forgot her wounds, forgot the terror of the night. A pug, a simple, tiny pug. and somehow the monsters in the shadows did not dare to come closer. The pug. The clearing was quiet. Too quiet. Only the sound of her heavy breathing filled the air. The beasts had stopped at the tree line. Their glowing eyes flickered between the woman and the small creature that stood in front of her. They growled low, restless, as if caught between hunger and fear. And there, in the middle of it all, stood the pug. It was so small compared to the dark forest around it. Its fur was short and patchy with dirt. Its ears twitched, its round body puffed with each sharp bark. It looked ridiculous, almost laughable in this deadly place. Yet the beast would not cross the shadows. They lingered, pacing, their teeth showing, but they did not move forward. The woman stared in disbelief. She wiped sweat from her forehead with a trembling hand. Was she dreaming? Was this another trick of her tired mind? She blinked hard, but the pug remained, strong and unshaken. It barked again, one short sound, but it carried through the clearing like a warning. The beasts froze. Then slowly, one by one, their eyes lowered. A few hissed, turned, and slipped back into the trees. Others lingered longer, snarling at the woman, but even they backed away at last. The forest swallowed them. She collapsed to her knees, her whole body shaking. Relief rushed through her like a wave, but fear still clung to her chest. She had survived. Somehow, impossibly, she had survived. And the reason was standing only a few feet away, wagging its tail. The pug trotted closer. Its small paws pressed the grass softly. Its tongue lolled out, eyes bright with something she could not name. The woman's first instinct was to back away. Everything in this world was dangerous. But the dog only sat in front of her, looking up with calm trust. For a long time, neither moved. The woman's breath slowed. The pounding of her heart softened. The pug tilted its head as if asking a question. She whispered, her voice raw from running. "What are you?" The pug sneezed, shook its body, then turned. Without waiting, it trotted toward the far side of the clearing. It looked back once, barked softly, then kept moving. The woman hesitated. Every part of her told her not to trust. Trusting meant danger. Trusting meant death. Yet the beasts had fled. The pug had stood where no human could. Something about it felt safe, even if it made no sense, and she had no choice. Alone, she would die before dawn. She pushed herself up, legs weak, arms scratched and bleeding, and followed. The pug led her into the trees again, but this time the forest felt different. The shadows still pressed close, and strange sounds still echoed from the distance, but the beast did not return. Their growls faded far away. Each time the woman stumbled, the pug would stop and glance back, waiting patiently. Minutes passed like hours. Her legs trembled with every step, yet she kept moving. The dog's steady pace guided her through the tangle of vines and roots. At last, they reached a slope of stone half hidden by moss. The pug slipped easily through a gap at the base, a dark opening just wide enough for her to crawl. She froze at the entrance. The cave yawned before her, black and silent. It could be another trap. Anything could be waiting inside, but outside, the forest whispered with danger. She turned her head, and for a moment she thought she saw glowing eyes in the distance. Watching, the pug barked once from inside, a small echo in the stone. She clenched her fists, sucked in a shaky breath, and crawled in. The cave was cool, damp, and wide enough for her to stand. Dust clung to the walls, and old crates lay broken along the ground. The pug trotted straight to one of them and sat down as if it had done this before. The woman's eyes adjusted slowly. She stepped further inside, her hand brushing one of the crates. The wood cracked under her touch, and something metallic clinked. Old human tools? Rusted, useless now. Her throat tightened. She wasn't the first human to come here. Others had tried. Maybe soldiers, maybe colonists. She didn't know. But she felt the echo of their failure in the silence. The pug curled up beside the crate, resting its chin on its paws. Its chest rose and fell in calm rhythm. It looked at her once, eyes warm before closing them. The woman sank against the opposite wall, her back sliding down the cold stone. She let her head rest against it, every muscle aching. Her hands shook less now. The smell of earth filled her lungs. Safe. For the first time that night, she felt safe. She whispered, "Thank you," though she knew the dog would not understand. Or maybe it did. Its ears twitched, but it didn't move. Her eyes grew heavy. The forest outside still moaned with distant cries, but none came near the cave. The pug's breathing filled the silence, steady, protective. She let herself drift just a little. As her eyelids closed, she thought of home. Blue skies, quiet mornings, warm sunlight. Things she thought she would never see again. She held on to that memory as sleep pulled her under. But in her dreams, the pug was there too. Its bark echoed in strange places, battlefields, burning skies, alien landscapes. She saw it standing among soldiers, glowing in the firelight, unafraid. It was more than a dog in her dreams. It was something else, something ancient, something powerful. She woke with a start, breath caught in her chest. Her eyes darted around the cave. The pug was still there, curled up, peaceful. Had she only dreamed it? Or had the dream shown her a truth she did not yet understand? The forest outside was still dark. Dawn had not yet come. But she knew one thing. When morning arrived, everything would change again. For now, she had only the pug. And the strange safety it gave her. Night shelter. The cave was dark and still. Outside, the forest whispered and hissed, alive with unseen danger. But in here there was silence. Cold air wrapped around her, heavy with the smell of stone and damp earth. The woman sat with her back against the wall, her arms wrapped around her knees. Every muscle in her body begged for rest, but her mind would not calm. Her ears strained for sounds beyond the cave's mouth, afraid the beast might return. Each creak of the forest made her heart jump. Only one sound comforted her. The slow, steady breathing of the pug. The little dog lay curled beside the broken crate, chest rising and falling in a rhythm that almost matched the beat of her own heart. Its body was so small, its head round and wrinkled, yet it slept without fear, as though the darkness meant nothing. The woman wondered how. How could this tiny creature rest while the forest was still hunting? What was it that made the beasts afraid? Her thoughts circled the same question again and again. Why are they afraid of you? She whispered it into the dark, but the pug only flicked its ear, then tucked its nose deeper into its paws. Her eyes shifted toward the crate. She crawled closer, her fingers brushing against the rough wood. The lid had split long ago, leaving the inside exposed. Rusted metal pieces lay scattered, tools, hinges, scraps that once belonged to machines. A broken helmet rested against the side, its glass visor cracked down the middle. She touched it carefully, her hand trembling. A human helmet, not hers. Someone else had been here before, someone who had not survived. Her throat tightened. The cave felt heavier. She pictured the unknown soldier trapped like her, hunted like her. Had they found the pug too? Or had the dog arrived later, after the end? She dropped the helmet, the sound echoing sharply against the stone. The pug lifted its head at once, ears pricked, eyes alert. Sorry, she whispered quickly. The pug blinked, then lowered its head again. Still calm. Still unbothered. Minutes stretched like hours. The woman's body grew heavy. She closed her eyes just for a moment, but images kept flashing behind her lids. Yellow eyes glowing, teeth flashing in the dark. Her own feet slipping, her lungs screaming. She jerked awake, sweat slick on her forehead. The pug had not moved. Its presence steadied her more than she cared to admit. It was strange. This little creature had appeared from nowhere, yet she already felt bound to it. She wanted to believe it was more than luck. She wanted to believe fate had sent it. A chill ran through her as she remembered her dream. Soldiers, flames, the pug standing among them like some ancient guardian. She shook her head. Dreams were only dreams, but her heart whispered that it was not so simple. She forced herself to lie down, pressing her cheek to the cold stone. The pug shifted closer, nestling against her side. Warmth spread through her as its body touched hers. For the first time since the hunt began, her eyelids grew heavy with real sleep. Not the restless kind, but the deep, heavy kind that drags you down no matter how hard you fight. Her last thought before darkness took her was simple. If the beasts return, maybe the dog will save me again. Her sleep was full of strange visions. She dreamed of the forest, but it was different. Taller, older, alive in ways beyond her understanding. She saw the beasts circling the edges, bowing low, their eyes filled not with hunger but with fear. And at the center stood the pug, small, round, ordinary. Yet shadows stretched long behind it, shaping into something vast and terrible. She wanted to run from it, but at the same time she wanted to kneel. When she tried to speak, her voice did not rise. Only the pug's bark echoed through the dream, sharp and endless. She woke with a gasp, her chest tight. The cave was still. The forest outside hummed with insects and distant cries, but none dared approach. The pug lay in the same place, eyes open now, staring into the mouth of the cave, watching, guarding. It had not slept, she realized. Not really. Her breath caught. Was it only a dog? Or something more? She pushed herself up slowly, her body stiff from stone and fear. The pug turned its head, studying her with dark, unreadable eyes. For a moment she felt as if it saw through her, deeper than any human gaze ever had. She shivered and hugged her arms around herself. The night dragged on. She dozed in short bursts, waking often, her mind restless. Each time she opened her eyes, the pug was there. Each time it watched the cave's entrance with the same quiet strength. Hours passed. She could feel dawn creeping closer. The air shifted, cooler, carrying the faintest scent of morning. Light had not yet touched the cave, but the forest outside began to change, its sounds softer, less wild. The woman let herself hope. Maybe she would live to see another sunrise. Maybe she could find a way beyond this cursed forest. She looked at the pug, curled at her side now, eyes finally shut. A strange comfort warmed her chest. She whispered softly, "I don't know who you are, but thank you." The pug did not answer. It only slept. And in that fragile moment, with the beasts far away and dawn just beyond the horizon, the woman allowed herself to believe she was safe. She was wrong. When the first light touched the world, everything would change. Strange dreams. The night stretched long inside the cave. The woman drifted in and out of uneasy sleep. Her body pressed against the cold stone, the pug curled close to her side. Each time she woke, the forest outside was still alive with distant growls and strange cries. Each time the dog remained alert, as if the darkness could not touch it. At last, true sleep found her. Heavy and deep. The kind of sleep that carried her far from the cave. And with that sleep came the dreams. She found herself standing in a place she did not know. The sky was red, painted with fire and smoke. The air burned in her throat. She coughed, turning in circles. Around her, ruins stretched out. Walls broken, machines burning, bodies silent on the ground. Soldiers moved among the flames. Human soldiers. Their armor was dented and blackened with soot, their faces hidden behind helmets. They fought with weapons that blazed light, weapons she had never seen before. But it was not the soldiers that drew her eye. It was the pug. The little dog stood in the middle of the battlefield, calm and steady, as if the destruction around it meant nothing. Its paws touched the scorched earth, yet its body was untouched by ash or fire. Its round eyes glowed faintly, golden in the smoke. The soldiers moved around it, not against it. They fought harder near the dog, as though its presence gave them strength. When it barked, their enemies faltered. Alien creatures, twisted and tall, reeled back as if struck by some unseen force. The woman's chest tightened. The pug looked so small, so harmless, and yet the tide of the battle seemed to shift with each sound it made. The dream shifted. She stood in another place, a wide plain under a black sky. Shadows moved on the horizon, endless shapes crawling closer. The ground trembled under their weight. At her side stood the pug again. Only this time its shadow stretched impossibly long across the plain. It grew and grew, towering like a mountain. When she turned her head, the pug was still small beside her. But its shadow reached the stars. She felt herself fall to her knees, not from fear, but from something deeper, an urge to bow, to submit, to respect. The beasts on the horizon howled. Yet when the pug barked once, the sound carried across the plain like thunder. The beasts froze, their glowing eyes dimming. One by one, they lowered their heads to the ground. The woman's heart raced. This was no ordinary dog. This was something else, something that commanded the wild. She woke with a sharp gasp, heart pounding against her ribs. The cave walls surrounded her again, cold, silent, steady, but her skin was damp with sweat. Her throat felt dry, as though the smoke from the battlefield still clung to her lungs. She sat up slowly, blinking into the dark. The pug was awake, sitting near the mouth of the cave. Its ears twitched, its body stiff as if listening. Her voice came out a whisper. "Was that you?" The pug turned its head, its round eyes catching the faint moonlight. For a moment she thought she saw something deeper in them, something too old, too knowing. Then it blinked, yawned, and curled up again as though it were only a tired pet. But she could not shake the dream. She leaned back against the wall, pressing a hand to her chest to calm her racing heart. The dream had felt too real, more real than her waking life. She could still hear the echo of that bark inside her ears, sharp and endless. She could still see the way beasts had bowed in the dream, the way the soldiers had fought with new fire when the pug stood beside them. What did it mean? Her mind spun with questions, but no answers came. She glanced at the dog again, now breathing slow and even in sleep. Its small body rose and fell, ordinary in every way. She tried to believe it was just a dog, just a lucky chance that had saved her. But part of her whispered the truth she did not want to admit. Nothing about it was ordinary. She drifted again, though this time she resisted. Each time her eyes closed, she feared the dreams would return. But exhaustion was stronger than fear. Again she saw strange places, towering cities of glass and light, alien landscapes with twin suns burning above, rivers of stars spilling through black skies, and always the pug was there. Sometimes at her feet, sometimes far ahead, but always guiding. Sometimes it was small, no more than a pet. Other times its shadow stretched so wide it swallowed everything in sight. It barked, and whole worlds listened. It stared into her eyes, and she felt herself pulled into endless depths. She woke again, gasping, her heart hammering harder than before. The forest outside had grown quiet. Too quiet, no growls, no whispers. Even the insects seemed hushed. The woman crawled to the cave mouth and peered out. The trees stood still, their branches silver in the moonlight. The air felt heavy, waiting. She swallowed hard, her mouth dry. A feeling crept over her skin, a warning she could not name. Behind her, the pug lifted its head. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dark, as though reflecting a light that was not there. The woman froze. The dog blinked slowly, then turned back toward the forest. Ears raised, and she realized something. The night was ending. Dawn was close, and with dawn, her strange dreams would no longer be dreams. They would become real. Sunrise, the night faded slowly. The forest outside the cave grew quieter with each passing hour. The cries of distant beasts died away. Even the insects, once loud and endless, now hummed softer, as if waiting for something. The woman sat near the cave mouth, too restless to sleep again. She had woken from dreams she could not forget, dreams of battles, shadows, and the pug standing at the center of it all. No matter how much she tried to dismiss them, the images clung to her like cobwebs. She rubbed her eyes, wishing for clear thought, but her mind refused to let go. She glanced back at the dog. The pug was awake now, sitting upright, staring into the fading dark. Its body was still, its ears twitching at every shift of the forest. It looked calm, but not in the way a normal dog would. Its calmness felt controlled, heavy, like it was not watching but waiting. Her chest tightened. She whispered almost to herself, "What are you?" The pug's small head turned slightly as though it had heard. For a long heartbeat, its eyes caught hers, and in that look she felt something deep, too deep for words. Then it blinked, broke the gaze, and looked back toward the trees. The sky outside began to pale. The first threads of gray stretched across the horizon. She felt her body tremble. Sunrise should have meant safety. Light meant the beasts would retreat, that the endless night was over. But something in her bones told her this morning would not bring peace. The air grew colder instead of warmer. Each breath came sharp and thin. The forest held its silence. Then, from far away, she heard a single howl. Long, low, sad. It rolled through the trees like a warning, and others followed, dozens of howls rising into the morning sky. Her stomach dropped. She knew those voices. The beasts had not left. They had only waited. The pug rose to its feet. Its tiny body looked almost fragile in the dim light, yet it stood tall, tail stiff, eyes locked on the forest. The woman backed up, pressing her hand against the cave wall. "No," she whispered. "Not again." She thought of running, but there was nowhere left to go. The first light of dawn broke over the treetops. A golden line spread across the horizon, cutting through the shadows. The cave brightened with soft light, and the moment sunlight touched the pug, everything changed. The dog growled. Not a playful, small growl, but something deep, rumbling, too heavy for its size. Its eyes shimmered faintly, gold flecks sparking in the dark. The woman froze. Her chest tightened with cold fear. This was no dream now. The pug stepped forward, its paws pressing into the dirt. Outside, the beast howled louder, but not with hunger. With reverence. The sound sent shivers crawling across her skin. The woman's breaths came fast. Her mind screamed at her to move, to escape, but her body would not obey. She watched as the pug walked slowly to the cave entrance. The sunlight grew stronger, painting its fur in glowing light. For a moment it was only a dog again, round, wrinkled, small. She almost believed she had imagined everything. But then its shadow stretched. The cave wall darkened as the pug's shadow grew long, far longer than its body. It spread across the stone like a stain, shifting, twisting into shapes that did not belong to a dog. Shapes with claws, shapes with teeth, shapes that bent like smoke. The woman's mouth went dry. She pressed back harder against the wall, wishing it would swallow her whole. The pug's ears lifted, its body stiff. The beasts outside went silent all at once. The forest held its breath. And then, with the softest bark, the silence broke. The ground trembled. The trees outside shook as if struck by a storm. Birds scattered into the brightening sky. The howls of the beast turned into whines, sharp and pitiful. She heard them moving, hundreds of paws against the earth, not charging but bowing. Her eyes widened. She crawled closer to the cave mouth, her curiosity stronger than her fear. There, just beyond the clearing, the beasts stood. Dozens of them, maybe more. Their yellow eyes glowed in the fading dark. But none of them stepped forward. None dared. Instead, they lowered their heads. Claws dug into the soil, bodies pressed close to the ground. They bowed to the pug. The woman's breath caught in her throat. She could not understand. This was no accident, no coincidence. The beasts were not afraid of the dog. They were obeying it, she whispered, voice shaking. It's their master. The pug turned its head slightly as if it had heard her again. Its eyes glowed brighter in the sunlight, no longer the soft brown of an ordinary pet. For an instant she thought she saw something human in them, something old and endless. Her body trembled. She could not look away. The pug barked once more. The beasts whined louder, pressing lower into the dirt. The woman felt her heart thud hard against her ribs. The dreams had not been dreams. They were warnings. Visions. The dog she thought had saved her was not her protector at all. It was the one the forest feared. She stumbled back into the cave, her hand covering her mouth. Her whole body shook. Fear rose again, but it was different now. Not fear of the beasts, but fear of the truth standing in front of her. The pug looked back at her. Its eyes met hers again, steady and unreadable. And in that silence she understood. She had not found safety. She had found something far worse. The transformation. The forest bowed in silence. Every beast outside lay flat against the ground. Their yellow eyes dimmed, their claws dug into the dirt. They did not move. They did not breathe loud. They waited. And at the center of it all, the pug stood in the sunlight. The woman pressed herself deeper against the cave wall, her breath sharp and shallow. Her body shook, but she could not look away. She had seen the beasts as monsters, as hunters without mercy. Yet now they looked like servants kneeling before a king. And the king was a small, wrinkled dog. The pug's body shimmered faintly in the morning light. At first she thought it was a trick of her tired eyes. But then the shimmer grew stronger, spreading like ripples across its fur. The air inside the cave grew heavy. The woman gasped as her chest tightened, as though the cave itself was shrinking around her. She wanted to speak, to call out, but her throat locked. The pug growled. The sound was not the soft growl of a pet. It was deep, resonant, vibrating through the stone itself. It carried power, authority, command. The beasts outside whimpered in response, lowering themselves even further. Her heart slammed inside her chest. She whispered, "No. No, this can't be real." The pug's shadow stretched across the cave floor, longer and darker than ever before. It twisted and split, forming shapes that shifted like smoke. At first, the woman thought they were illusions, but then the shadows began to move on their own. Claws scraped stone. Teeth opened in silence. She scrambled back, hands tearing against the rough wall. Panic surged through her. The dream had warned her. The shadow in her dream had grown as tall as mountains. Now that dream was waking. The pug's small frame trembled once, as if shaking off its skin, and then it began to change. Its body stretched, slowly, unnaturally. Bones cracked like breaking branches. Its round belly narrowed, legs elongating, fur bristling into sharp spikes of dark hair. The tiny snout lengthened into a maw lined with glistening teeth. The woman slapped her hand across her mouth to stop a scream. The pug's soft, wrinkled face melted into something else, still dog-like, but sharper, fiercer, its eyes blazing gold. It was no longer a creature she could laugh at or trust. It was a predator in its truest form. The beasts outside howled again, but not in defiance. In worship, the pug, no, the thing threw its head back and barked once. But the bark was different now. It was thunder. It shook the cave walls. Dust rained down from the ceiling. The beasts responded instantly, their bodies pressed flat into the earth, their voices joining in a chorus of loyalty. The woman's stomach lurched. She felt like she was drowning in sound. Her eyes burned with tears. She remembered how safe she had felt beside it. How warm it had been as it lay curled against her. That safety had been a lie, a trick. The dog had never been protecting her. It had been keeping her, watching her, waiting for the dawn. Her hands shook violently. Her voice cracked. "Why me?" The transformed creature turned its head toward her. Its golden eyes burned in the dim cave. In those eyes she saw intelligence, calculation, and recognition. Her heart skipped. It knew her. The thing stepped forward, its claws clicking against the stone. Its new body filled the cave with presence, even though it had not grown impossibly large. The change was not only in size, it was in weight, in power. Each step pressed down on her chest like a hand squeezing her lungs. She could not breathe. It stopped only a few feet away, staring. The beasts outside had gone silent again, waiting for its command. The forest itself seemed frozen, afraid to move while its master watched. The woman's whole body shook. She pressed against the wall until her back ached, but there was nowhere else to go. The creature lowered its head. For a terrifying moment she thought it would strike. Its teeth glinted, wet and sharp, close enough to tear her apart. But it did not. Instead, it sniffed the air near her face. Its golden eyes narrowed. She felt her blood turn cold. Images flashed in her mind. Not dreams, but visions forced upon her. She saw soldiers kneeling before this creature. Not as a pet, but as a leader. She saw alien beasts tearing worlds apart under its command. She saw flames swallowing cities, skies burning red. And always, always the pug, transformed. Standing above it all, her own voice echoed in her head, from nights ago, when she had first prayed for safety. Please, someone save me, and she understood. It had heard her, not as a dog, not as a friend, but as a master of predators. It had chosen her. The creature pulled back slowly, its golden eyes still locked on hers. It barked once, softer than before, almost like the bark of the pug she had known. For a heartbeat, she felt the memory of that fragile safety return. But then the ground trembled again. The beasts outside stirred, rising to their feet, their eyes bright once more. The transformation was complete. The dawn had come, and she was no longer hiding from monsters. She was standing beside the one they served. The revelation, the forest was awake now, not with the usual chaos of night, but with a terrible order. The beasts stood in silence beyond the clearing, hundreds of glowing eyes fixed on the cave. Their bodies were tense, low to the ground, waiting for command. And at the front stood the creature that had once been a pug. The woman pressed herself against the cold cave wall, her breath short and broken. She could not believe what she was seeing. Only hours ago, that small, wrinkled dog had curled against her side, harmless, warm, almost human in its trust. Now it was something else, something ancient and powerful. Her hands trembled in her lap. She whispered to herself, voice shaking, "It was never saving me. Never saving me at all." The transformed beast turned its golden eyes toward her. It had not forgotten she was there. It had not let her go. It stepped deeper into the sunlight. The golden rays lit its body, revealing every sharp line of muscle, every spike of fur that rose like armor along its back. Its shadow stretched behind it, splitting and twisting across the stone until it filled the cave. The beasts outside stirred again, whining softly, eager, hungry for direction. The creature barked once. The sound cracked through the forest like lightning. Instantly the beasts bowed again, muzzles pressed to the dirt, bodies trembling in reverence. The woman's stomach dropped. She pressed her hand against the wall for support, her nails scraping stone. She had thought the beasts ruled this world. She had thought they were the greatest danger. But now she saw the truth. They were only servants, slaves, and their master was here in front of her. The creature turned back toward her, its eyes glowing brighter. For a long moment it only stared. The silence pressed in heavy, thicker than stone. Her lips parted. Words slipped out before she could stop them. "What do you want from me?" The creature lowered its head, stepping closer. Its breath rolled hot against her skin. She flinched, pressing back harder, wishing she could disappear into the rock. Visions struck her mind again. Not dreams, truths. She saw herself walking among the beasts unharmed, untouched. She saw cities crumbling, skies torn open, armies kneeling, and always beside her the golden-eyed creature, not a pet, not a protector, a partner. Her heart slammed hard against her chest. She shook her head violently. "No, I don't belong to you. I don't—" Her voice broke. The creature growled low and steady. It wasn't anger. It was warning, a reminder of power. The beasts outside growled too, echoing the sound until the forest vibrated with it. She clamped her hands over her ears, tears burning her eyes. The sound seeped into her bones, into her blood, until she could not tell where her fear ended and its command began. Then, silence again. The creature pulled back. Still watching her, the woman gasped for air, every breath sharp. Her throat felt raw, her body trembling so hard she thought her bones might break. She stared at it, her voice small now. "Why me?" This time no vision came, no words, only a look. But in that look she understood. It had chosen her not because she was strong, but because she had survived when others had not. Because she had run and screamed and begged the night to spare her. She had asked for help, and it had answered. Her knees gave out and she sank to the floor. The cave was spinning, the forest outside a blur of eyes and shadows. The creature stepped forward again, closing the distance. It did not strike. It did not harm her. Instead, it lowered itself, curling once more into the form she knew. The small, round body, the wrinkled face, the wagging tail. The pug. Her breath caught. Her body froze. It looked exactly as it had when she first saw it in the clearing. Harmless, gentle, cute even. The beasts outside stayed bowed. They did not rise. They did not question. The pug yawned as if nothing had changed. The woman's lips trembled. She whispered, You can be both." The pug blinked, tilted its head, and let out a soft bark, almost playful. But she knew better now. Her chest ached as she stared at it. She wanted to run, but she could not. She wanted to fight, but she had no strength left. She wanted to believe it would keep her safe, but the truth weighed heavier than stone. She was not its friend. She was its possession. The sunlight poured stronger into the cave. The pug stood, wagging its tail, and padded closer. It sat at her feet, pressing its small body against her leg. Warm and familiar. For a moment, she almost believed the lie again, that it was only a dog, only a companion. But outside, hundreds of beasts waited in silence for its command. And when the pug looked up at her with glowing golden eyes, she finally understood the true horror. The night had been cruel. The beasts had been terrifying, but daylight was worse, because daylight had shown her what the pug really was, and there would be no escape.